You're listening to the Scarf Bagara War, part of the TalkSport Fan Network, and charity partners with Mentel, for county fans, by county fans.
Good evening and welcome to episode 28 of this season's Courtyard Club Call. We're going to be talking about the Rotherham United away game. We're recording this on the day, just finished maybe 3-4 hours ago. And we'll be dissecting that. I've got Dan with me. Hi, Dan. And I've also got Stu with me. If you're watching it, Stu sort of is a ghost at the moment. So we're going to try and get Stu back on. But in the meantime, Dan, how are you, mate? I know you went to the game.
Yeah, exhausted, to be honest. It's been a long day, up at 5:30, out the door for 6, to get up there. And literally, we just got back at 7 o'clock, had a Chinese takeaway, and time to sit down and pull the meat from the bone as such, and talk about the game.
Yeah. Well, it's Stu, I think, is coming back. Hey, Stu, here he is. Stu Hope, as he says, County Ladies Champion is in the building. Nice to have you on, Stu.
Cheers, guys. Apologies there. My signal's a bit weak here, so I might be in, I might be out, but we'll see how we get on.
Okay, mate. Well, yeah, we'll me and Dan can talk for England anyway. So if we do lose you every now and then, it's not a problem. So yeah, Dan, do you want to take us through the team first, and then we'll sort of have a chat about that and whether there's any surprises or not?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the big surprises were that obviously Lewis Bate was out with an injury, and Callan Camps were out with an illness. So a little bit of a change to the sort of like what we were expecting. Ben Hinchliffe starting in goal. I had it 3 at the back with obviously the normal 3 of Pye, Horsfall and Connolly. Torre coming back in as a left wing back. Kyle Noyle starting on as a right wing back. Then you've got Bailey and Norwood in the centre of midfield. And then I had a front 3 of Barry, Wotton and Alafi.
Spot on. That's exactly how I thought we lined up as well. Stu, were there any surprises in that team for you?
I was a bit surprised at Tanto starting, and I was a bit surprised at Bailey starting. I thought it would have been Diamond for Alafi but Camps for Bailey, but we know that Camps was ill. Yeah. But other than that, yeah, pretty much as I expected, really.
Do we think that Dave is sort of planning for post Louis Barry? He's trying to get some minutes into Alafi's legs?
Yeah, I assume so. I mean, we don't know what's happening. Well, we know Barry's going back, but we don't know what they've got lined up in terms of replacement, if anybody. I'm sure they will have, because...
Yeah, it was like I said, it was Bailey's 3rd game now starting on the trot. And I thought you're saying again, he looked a little bit out of sync with Norwood for the first sort of 10-15 minutes, but then he sort of found his groove, and them two sort of really linked up well. And same again, I just thought, that front 3 I thought were really, really potent. With pressing high, Tanto looked really, really good, high energy and stuff like that. So yeah, really exciting lineup, especially obviously Noyle starting as well.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he did go for Torre and Noyle, I wonder whether that was because it was against the Steve Evans side. I mean, we know that they are, or that he tends to go more direct, maybe than other teams in this league, and having that defensive stability, I think with Torre and Noyle certainly helped us in that first 20 minutes. The pace of Barry, the pace of Tanto, Wotton was playing well. And I mean, we gave them a warning on 8 minutes. Barry was running through them at will. And then on 13 minutes, another trademark Louis Barry run and shot. How was it in the ground? I've got to say the away following sounded absolutely mint on TV. We did not stop singing. Certainly that first half, it was really, really noticeable.
Yeah, it was, like I say, for me, it was a stadium that really reminded me a lot like Doncaster's stadium, that sort of shape and design. I was just surprised how many empty seats there were for a so-called big club as such that just come down from the Championship. At the end of the game, I can understand why there's so many empty seats, because I wouldn't want to pay to watch that.
Do you think they're a big club, really?
I think if you've been in the Championship and they're not as big as they've not obviously been in the Premier League, so you wouldn't say they're as big as Huddersfield. But yeah, I think they're a Championship club. One of them teams that are definitely a top 5 League One or Championship club.
Do you think they've maybe made it looks like they've made a mistake in bringing Steve Evans back, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, they were just a team of cloppers. All they wanted to do was kick, fall over, huff the ball into the air, and they were just it was like playing National League North again when we've played some of the teams there where they've got one trick ponies, and that's to win free kicks and lob it in the air and try and get something on a second ball.
I did feel like they were like first 19 minutes, they were all over the place. The shape was terrible. We were cutting through them. I thought Bailey and Norwood were playing brilliantly together in midfield. Tanto was a nuisance. We know what Barry can do. And we obviously deserved that 1-0 lead, and they did nothing. And then on 19 minutes, another absolutely shite goal to concede. So two games on the trot, we've conceded such soft goals. Do you want to take us through the equaliser, Dan?
Do I have to? I think it starts off with the actual award of the free kick, the corner, sorry. So there's a lot of debate, as we always do when we go through goals and stuff. It's not necessarily the conceding of the goal that's the issue, it's the build up to it. Obviously it comes from a corner. The warding of the corner is in dispute, because I thought Toure was fouled.
Does he need to be a little bit stronger, maybe? Or I felt he was fouled as well, but the referee up to that point, in fairness to him, he had let the game go. There were quite a few times where he could have blown up, and he sort of thought, "No, I'll just let that go. No, I'll just let that go." And it only really counted for something because they scored from the corner.
But like I say, even if we concede a corner, we have to defend it. The ball's basically been cleared out the area. I can't remember who cleared it. It's come to the edge of the 18-yard box, and the players hit it into the ground, basically. And as it's bounced off the ground, it's looped over the defence. And it's a line of 4 of them Rotherham players, and the one in the middle ends up flicking his head onto it, and it just out of reach of Ben, and just literally dips into under the crossbar.
It was just too close to Ben to really react, I felt.
Now the big debate will be is obviously the player that flicked it on, was he offside and whatnot. Obviously being in the ground, I thought he was offside. I put my hand up straight away like everybody else. Offside. I think looking at the videos and stuff like that, we can conclude that the player that scored the goal wasn't offside.
Yeah, Carl Wootton was keeping him on.
Yeah, but there was 2 or 3 other players that were offside stood beside him. So there's an argument, rightly or wrongly, were they interfering with Ben, his line of vision? I don't know, to be honest.
The photo that I've seen that was posted on Yellowboard, and you can actually see, do you know when you're sort of peering round another player? So Ben, the actual photo shows you Ben sort of peering round the player that was directly in front of him, not the one that scored, whilst the mishit shot was being taken. So he was definitely unsighted, and you wonder, if you look at the point at which or where the player who actually headed the ball in was, he was pretty close to the 6-yard line. And you sort of think, well, if Ben had been able to see that, leave the boot of the player, hit into the ground, loop up, he may have been able to catch it. He may have been able to come up and claim it himself. But because he was unsighted with the player who took the initial shot, but we're talking, I mean, no League One linesman is going to be able to see that and think that is like a VAR thing all over. So
yeah, I mean, and same again, it was the linesman that didn't flag for offside, not the referee. And like you say, at that point, up to that point, I thought the referee, like you say, was letting things go. There was a lot of tussling and holding onto shirts and stuff, but he was letting it all go. But
for both
that
teams,
happened,
in fairness, he was letting the game go for both teams. So he set his stall out. It's going to be a physical game, guys, and we're going to keep on playing. So I was quite happy with that. I quite like it when referees allow the game to go on rather than these niggly little fouls and free kicks and things, which Steve Evans' side probably quite likes to do. They like to disrupt, don't they? His side. They don't like teams like opposition to get momentum, I guess.
Yeah, and when obviously we conceded the equaliser, the game then we changed. You know, we lost our heads a little bit. We started getting into them individual battles in the wrong way. Start forgetting about how to play football and started, say, playing their game, like you say. Started being physical when we didn't need to be, and instead of stop passing it through the lines and passing it in midfield with a bit of pace and purpose, we just sort of lost our way a little bit, lost our shape, and the game then just sort of, with the referee as well at that point, he got a little bit ragged as well, and it all got a bit flustered, and it just we needed half time to come for Dave to get him back into the changing room to sort of like press the reset button for me.
Let's just talk about that sort of. So from 20 to 30 minutes, 100%. They were buoyed by the goal. They've been on some poor form recently. Okay, their home form's pretty good, but they're near the relegation zone, so their confidence will have been low. So obviously that equaliser would have helped them, and it certainly did for 10 minutes. In that 10 minutes, I don't think Barry touched the ball once. But then on 30 minutes, we started getting back into it, but the referee he seemed to have like this, I don't know, he just lost it. For 15 minutes of that first half, he booked 5 players. The bookings were, there was a late tackle on Tanto by their centre-back. Wootton got one for dissent. Another guy, another central defender, pulled somebody back when they were going through. Connolly was booked and the referee wasn't even looking at it. Like, he booked him. It was a booking, but the referee was looking nowhere near it. He got the right decision, but it was bizarre. Then Clark Harris got a booking for dissent as well. And I said to Chloe, I said, this referee needs a cup of tea at half time. And then JK, in fairness, said exactly the same thing. Like as he blew up, he was like, yeah, he needs to go in and get a cup of tea. Because if he carried on doing that in the second half, we'd have been down to like 7 aside, I think. Every foul becoming a booking.
I mean, like I say, when obviously Wootton got the first booking, and then obviously there was an incident late in the first half, sorry.
Yeah.
And we're all thinking, and they're obviously baying for blood.
He handled it well, though, the referee, because like he could have booked him. It was slightly high. It was slightly late. Wootton was following what the rest of the players were doing. We were getting too physical, making some silly decisions. And yeah, that could have been a yellow card, but I quite like the way the referee pulled him over and was like, calm it down, okay? I'm not going to send you off, but just calm it down.
Yeah. And like I said, at that point, I thought he was a bit of a marked man, obviously, because normally you're thinking, is he going to take him off at half time? And obviously Tanto got splattered by the goalkeeper in that first half as well, which I thought, I don't think it was a penalty because I think it was outside the area, but I definitely thought that was a red card for the goalkeeper because he's come out of his area and clattered into him.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, we've seen challenges like that. Nick Powell got a penalty earlier in the season for something very similar. There's an argument that the keeper got part of the ball, but he then absolutely took Tanto out.
Yeah,
Probably
and
not a
then,
red because there was a covering defender.
but
I mean,
that killed his game. I thought. I think he picked up an injury then, and obviously, come half time, where
yeah,
wouldn't have been surprised if Wootton had come off because of that yellow card. At half time, it wasn't. It was obviously Tanto that came off at half time for Jack Diamond.
and he was playing well, Tanto, and that's. I think if he'd stayed on the pitch, we'd have had more chance of scoring a second. That's for sure. From that first half. So yeah, we go in 1-1, bit disappointing. Standout players in that first half for me were probably Louis Barry, causing all sorts of problems for them, and Bailey and Norwood. I know that we've sort of said that Steve Evans' sides don't tend to play it through the midfield, but they were beautiful. They were playing really, really well. Obviously, they weren't coming up against much in the way of the opposition having possession, because all they do is pump it up to that Clark Harris guy and down the channels for those two the two wingers to run onto. But Norwood and Bailey, beautiful, really, really good. And I wasn't sure they could play like that together, but I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I mean, Bailey was obviously the legs for Norwood, hustling, bustling, closing things down, but same again, just tidy on the ball. There was the odd occasion where they try and do a pass or a flick, or a pass without looking as such, and it obviously goes astray. But they haven't played really much time together, so it's going to take a few weeks for them to bed in if they're going to carry on playing as a two in that centre midfield.
We did lose Stu about 10 minutes ago. That's the reason why he hasn't been saying anything. We haven't been like freezing him out or anything. He is literally gone and not come back. So fingers crossed that he can get an internet connection at some point. But you've just got me and Dan for now. First half stats pretty even on possession. We had 54 to their 46%. Even on XG as well. We had 0.48 XG and they had 0.36. They had 7 shots to our 6. And passing wise, we had 167 to 143. So it was a pretty even first half, really. Moving into the second half, as you say, we made that substitution. We brought Jack Diamond on for Tanto. And I thought we started pretty brightly in that second half.
Yeah, I mean, Jack Diamond seemed to sort of play the role that Tanto was playing. So it's the same sort of formation, I thought, with Jack Diamond sort of playing as a striker as such. And he was busy, he was energetic, he was picking up good positions, linking up the play well with Louis and Woods. And I thought that really, really looked promising. And he was, like I say, just breaking through the lines a lot like what Will Collard has done in previous seasons. He was, like I say, breaking the lines, getting through to the point where he's, the furthest player forward in a county shirt with the ball. And yeah, at that point, it was all county. Start the second half. We reset. We got our head straight. We stopped engaging in the silly buddy boy tactics and the silly mind games that Rotherham wanted to play. And we started getting the ball down and playing football again.
I was really rooting for Jack Diamond in that second half. I really wanted him to score for us. He's due a goal. And you're right, he was busy. He was running confidently with the ball. It's just what we've seen all season from him. It's that end product, isn't it? And sometimes he just he overruns it. He'll beat one person, then maybe another one, but then he'll run into the third defender. And it's just he doesn't seem to pop the ball off quite at the right time. And then the move breaks down. So that was disappointing, I guess. But special mention for Pi. A couple of minutes into the second half, Pi Dini came out in force. He had a beautiful run, cutting through the through the midfield, and he gets the ball off to Connolly, who has a shot which I think that's the one that flashed just past the post with a slight deflection on it. How do we think Toure did? Because obviously he's come into the side. Rydell's played the last couple of games. Am I remembering that rightly? I mean, Toure's obviously more defensively solid. How do you think he did?
Let's be absolutely honest. If we could create a hybrid of Toure and Rydell,
their love child, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what we need, and we'd have the best left back, left wing back in the division. This is the problem. We've got every player at the moment has strengths and weaknesses, and we go from, Toure, really, really good defensively, very more better physically now, but lacks that quality with the crossing at times. I know last season, I think he got 8 or 9 assists, so he should be doing better with that. But defensively, I would always want Toure over Rydell. If you're not worried about the defensive side of it and you just want somebody to link up well with Barry and cross the ball in, then you go for Rydell.
It'd be interesting to see the stats on those assists, because he got an assist today, but when you've got Barry playing on the same wing as you, the assist is probably, I'll just pass it to him, like nice easy pass. Then he goes and beats 3 players and smashes it in the top corner. So just because Toure got 8 or 9 assists, I'm not convinced that they were all mega balls into the box for Wootton to smash into the top corner with his head. So probably take that with a little bit of a pinch of salt, I'd have thought. Nice to have Noyle back. Maybe his attacking output wasn't what we've seen, and he's still coming back from the relatively long injury layoff that he's had. But I do think he's so solid, and I do like to see him in the side. He never lets you down. He's always a solid 7 out of 10, and he will only get better as he sort of gets more match fitness in him.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so I think the next thing of note was probably, we had a couple of options. Some chances. Barry had a chance which he smacked at the keeper. I was on 53 minutes. Probably should have done slightly better. He snatched at the goal at the shot, and then Wootton had anybody else but Wootton in that position. He was sent through, and the ball was sort of bouncing. The keeper decided not to come. He then sort of came to the edge of his area, and Wootton just tried to lift it over him, and it just went wide, didn't have enough pace on it as well. And you just think, if that had been somebody else, maybe Barry, that could have been 2-1. What did you think in the ground at that time? Do you think it was going in?
Start off with the Connolly chance. We all thought that was breaking the back of the net, the way he hit that, and it was like you're looking at the net going, is there a hole in it? Because it just where the angle we were sat at, it just looked like it ripped through the net. It was hit with absolute venom. If it was on target, the keeper was never going to save that. And like I say, it's just everything what we created seemed to be outside the 6-yard box. We created a couple of chances where we flashed the ball across the goal, but same way we've said it before, we missed that, fox in the box, basically. That game, and it's horrible to say, but that game was crying out for a Paddy Madden.
Yeah.
Because it's not always the skill of sometimes standing still as a striker and picking up a spot, and we've seen Paddy do that many times where he'll just stand on the penalty spot and wait for the play, and it needed that type of player, just with a little bit more guile and a bit of craft and a little bit of nous. And it was just, they say, just frustrating, because for me, we were just absolutely the better team. Yes, we had a little bit of wobble in the first half where our minds had gone a little bit, but overall, like I said, we were just absolutely a better team. We were passing it better, working it better, creating better opportunities. That second half, I think we've only allowed them to have one shot at goal, and that was off target as well.
Yeah, I mean, the momentum graph literally gives them 10 minutes in the first half, and then everything else was us. And it was. But having said that, watching the game, I never felt that it was like guaranteed that we were going to score a second because of our inability to create those really high level chances. As you say, balls were flashed across the box and there was nobody there. And dare I say it, would a Jack Stretton help with that? He's a little bit of a fox in the box. He's probably the only one in the squad that we have, or not in the squad because he's on loan.
Yeah.
Or Brecky, 19-year-old Brecky. They're the goals that he scores. Maybe we'll see him second half of the season. I don't know if he's got anywhere near the first team training yet. I know he's waiting for a work permit, I think, isn't he, or to be registered or something, Dan?
Yeah. It needs something, that little bit of nous in that to just finish them off. We create enough chances. We've talked about this all season, really, about the chances that we create, converting them into shots on target, and then converting the shots on target into actual goals.
Yeah.
Every part of our play, I feel, is good at times. Yes, obviously they're going to have chances. They're going to have corners. They're going to have free kicks, and the defense are going to have to work at times. But I say overall, this is a team that was in the Championship last season,
but they got relegated from the Championship, Dan. So
yeah, but if you on that evidence that you watched today, you'd have thought that we were the team that was 2 divisions above them. We looked so much better. We looked like we had a better idea. We looked like the home team, to be honest. We sounded like the home team.
Yeah.
I was just amazed of how quiet. I mean, Rotherham only seemed to sort of come alive, the fans, when the 7 minutes went up at the end of the 90 minutes, where they think they could nick a goal and win the game.
Yeah.
Apart from that, I don't think they hardly made any noise all the way through the game, and it's a bit of a depressing place at the moment for them, because obviously they got relegated last season. They're looking over their shoulder thinking, are they in a relegation battle this season? And the style of football that Steve Evans puts up is just, I don't even think even Bolton fans would put up with it.
Should we just talk about the Horsfall injury? So we've already said that Tanto was substituted at half-time. And that's been confirmed now, injury, probably 3 to 4 weeks out. That's on top of Bates being out for 3 to 4 weeks. That was confirmed in Dave's pre-match interview, I think. So yeah, Horsfall, 66 minutes. It was pretty innocuous. He was sort of jumping for a header. He didn't manage to get off the ground because his ankle basically gave way on him. So normally in these situations, a player jumps, lands funny on the ankle, but this was the opposite way. He didn't even get off the ground. He was sort of sandwiched between one of ours and one of theirs. And as soon as he went down, I mean, like if you see it again in slow motion, I recorded it off the TV on my phone, and it looks really painful, like proper ligament damage there.
Yeah.
Don't know how long he's going to be out for. What have you heard, Dan?
I think they've said it's going to be months opposed to weeks with Horse. I think, like with all things, they try not to commit too much, because obviously they want to leave it 24 hours, 48 hours for any swelling before they have a scan or X-ray on it. It's upsetting, really, because like I say, he was absolutely, unmovable in that back. I thought he was absolutely, him and Pye, absolutely a force. But it is what it is. It's an opportunity for Hughes to play, and what I'd expect Hughes to play against Birmingham, even if it's not as bad as we fear. I'd be surprised if he's fit enough to play on Wednesday.
What, Horsfall?
Yeah.
No chance. I mean, I always think the worry with like really, really bad ankle ligament injuries is that that's one that doesn't heal stronger. And once you've had issues with your ankle ligaments. I'm thinking like Jack Wilshere is like an absolute prime example with that. He just never got back. His ankles were like made of glass, basically. And you just worry a little bit whether when you damage it that badly, is that going to affect him long term as well? Maybe I'm being maybe I'm putting my negative Nelly hat on, which I pretty much do every single Courtyard Club call, to be honest, don't I, Dan? So people are used to that. But I had bad ankles when I used to play football, and they never got better. Unfortunately, I just looked at strapping on them and just carried on playing. But fingers crossed that it's not going to be super, super bad. But he was stretchered off. They put a boot on as precautionary. My brother was at the game as well, and they hung around at the end of the game. Spoke to a few of the players. Got a little signed sort of shirt from Louis Barry. Got his shirt that he was wearing signed from Louis Barry. And Horse, when he came out, he was on crutches, obviously. So not good at all.
Hopefully, like you said, it's 24 hours, 48 hours. Any swelling or anything that goes down, and hopefully, they'll have a scan. It's not like the old days where they have to go down to A&E or something like that and wait in a queue for 6 hours to go and get a scan or something like that. They'll obviously, Mr. Stott will have a adequate medical, in situations where they can go and get a scan on a booking as such. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it's I'll be gutted if that's his season done. Which obviously, when you're talking,
if it is his season done, we will need to. And we were talking about this before we came on. And when is a good time to get an injury or injuries, which is what we've got here? Probably 2 days before the transfer window opens. One would imagine you wouldn't want it to occur on the end of January when the transfer window shuts. So at least we can do something about it, whether that's bringing a short-term loan or whatever that might be. But we can't afford, I don't think, to go half a season. If it's as bad as we think it might be, obviously it might not be. He might wake up tomorrow morning, he might be running around and jumping around, he might be fine. But you can't go into the rest of the season, I don't think, without someone coming back. I mean, we don't know whether Onyango is going to be coming back soon. Obviously, we do have a little graphic on the squad poster. Let's just bring this up now, actually, because we're sort of talking injuries, aren't we, at the moment? So, by my reckoning, injuries, we're now looking at Horsfall, Onyango, and Adaramola. So that's defensive injuries. Midfield, we've got Powell and Bate. And then up front or in attacking positions, Fevrier and Olafi. I've taken Louis Barry off the squad poster because obviously he's going back in the next game after Birmingham. And then question marks over Mellon as well. So my worry over this squad, I think, is the attacking options that we've got there. I mean, you can say that Collar's an attacker and Bailey's an attacker, but their output isn't the same as a Barry or an informal Affy. So attacking wise, it's looking like Gardner, Wootton, and Diamond with Collar, maybe.
Yeah, it's just looking thin on the ground, and like I say, you're expecting Mellon to go back to Burnley as well. Obviously, we've got the Icelandic lad coming in, but I've got putting no pressure on him at all, to be honest, to deliver as such at the start of the season. The Icelandic season, I think, finished in October. He hasn't probably kicked a ball around for 2-3 months, so to expect him to come and be our saviour is just unrealistic, to be honest.
I think he's gone straight into the development squad or whatever they call it these days anyway, so he'll be training and playing with the kids effectively, won't he? But what's the phrase? Necessity is the mother of invention, and maybe he will have to be promoted unless there's somebody else in that team. But we've got the transfer window, so actually I'm talking crap, aren't I? We will bring people in. That is an absolute given. I wouldn't be surprised if Simon Wilson and Dave have got 5 players named, maybe more. Maybe they've even lined the players who are coming in up already, because they do tend to do business early, don't they? And what's the point in not doing it early when you've got a bit of a crisis up front anyway? So I would be surprised when the transfer window opens within a couple of days we've announced 2 or 3 players.
As we know the way the things work, I wouldn't even be surprised if some of them players are already training with the squad. You know, that the deal has been done. They're going to be announced obviously on the 1st of January, but they've been training with the squad for the last 2 weeks. That sort of thing has happened many, many times with Simon Wilson and Dave Challoner. So that wouldn't, like I say, they keep their pieces close to their chest at times. They don't let us know what's going on, and it's as we know with injuries, it's very much a closed shop at times. I'm surprised actually that we got the information released about Tanto and Horsfall, because normally it is until the next game you find out, because they're not on the team sheet, that they're actually out for a few weeks with injury. Same with Bay. Obviously, Camps was missing because of illness, so hopefully he'll come back into the fold very, very quickly. But yeah, it's a little bit thin on the ground, but it's it is what it is. It's opportunities. Bailey's started the last 3 games. I think he's taken that opportunity really, really well. Obviously, the game against Huddersfield, he come off at half time after he got a booking, but until he got that booking, I thought he was absolutely doing really well. So yeah. Like I said, his opportunities. Fiorini's another one that we haven't really heard of very much
The fact
lately.
that he's not in the squad as an attacking player, it makes you wonder what he's doing in training, doesn't it?
Yeah. So
because that bench was relatively defensive today, I thought. There weren't many attacking options on there, and maybe you say that Collar and Fiorini are 2 similar players. So as long as you've got one of them on the bench, maybe you're covered. Did you notice when Louis Barry came off? You wouldn't have done actually, but on TV, he was holding his right hamstring.
Yeah, he was, and I think they've mentioned as well in the post match that the reason why he was took off because his hamstring was tight. Hopefully, same again. 3 days is a very short time to turn that around. That might be his last game, full stop, in a county shirt. He might not be fit to play in the Birmingham game. So it's a wait and see with that one. We might get one more game out of him. That might have been his farewell.
If it's just a tight hamstring, I'm sure the medical staff can work it. And I mean, for him not to play that Birmingham game, I think he'd have to be on one leg. He will want to play that game without doubt. Okay, so I mean, should we just sort of run through the stats on that second half? So we weren't able to score a goal, but we did have 9 shots to their 1, XG of 0.67. With those 9 shots, we're only 2 on target though. I don't feel like recently we've really been working opposition keepers enough. We've had decent possession at the back, decent possession in midfield, but it's just that final third where something it's not quite clicking. It didn't help taking Tanto off, obviously, for that injury. And maybe if he'd stayed on the pitch, I said earlier, maybe we'd have linked a little bit better, but it just became a little bit disjointed, I felt. But we probably never played an attacking 3 of Collar, Diamond and Wootton this season anyway. So maybe that's part of it. Who knows?
Yeah, and we sort of, obviously when Barry came off, Jack Diamond then went onto the left wing, and I felt he wasn't being influential as he was when he was in the centre of the pitch, when he was close to Wootton and picking up the balls and running through the lines.
That's his position there, is it not, Dan?
It is, yes, it is. That's why, he was brought in to replace Louis Barry as such, and then obviously we ended up bringing Louis back in. So he's but I just thought he was better that first half of the second half. He was pulling the strings and he was a lot more better and a lot more creative when Louis went off and he went on to the wing. I just felt his game sort of disappeared a little bit. He wasn't as influential. He had a little bit tried a backheel flick and it didn't come off, and he sort of shrunk then a little bit for me.
What do you think then about we sort of touched on it earlier, but the delivery that we are getting into the box, it's not of the same quality that we've seen in previous seasons. I don't know what that is, whether the defences are better, but Wootton is getting nothing, is he? He's getting absolutely nothing in the box, whether he's positioned wrong or whether the crosses are poor. It's probably the crosses are poor, to be fair.
Well, same again, 9 shots, 2 on target, and not a single shot was in the 6-yard box. So that doesn't tell me it's just Wootton. There was a couple of opportunities, same again, where we've put a decent ball in, and it just needed, especially there was a Will Collar one, and it just needed someone to gamble at the far post, and it was an open net as such. It's
I'm not
frustrating.
convinced if you've got a midfield of Bailey and Norwood. I think one of the problems today was that we didn't have enough bodies in the box. So it's all well and good putting balls in, but if you've only got one player to aim for, so like if the cross was coming from the right and say Diamond was on the left, he doesn't break his neck to get into the box particularly. You've literally got Wootton there. If Collar is the guy on the right providing the cross, you haven't got a midfield runner. You haven't got you need Collar to cross it and also be on the end of it.
Yeah.
Because Bailey and Norwood aren't the midfielders to be making those Frank Lampard-esque type of runs. So it's a numbers game when it comes down to that. If you've got one player in there and you've got 4 or 5 defenders, stands to reason you're probably not going to score that goal. So we somehow need to get more players into that box when we're making those crosses. And that's just not happening at the moment. Whether it's personnel, I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we said it before. It's at the moment, every 3 shots that we have, we get 1 on target, and every 3 shots we get on target, we're looking to score a goal. So it's a lot of effort and a lot of chances that we need to create just to score 1 goal. And that has to improve if we want to get out of this division, and if we not just want to get out of this division, but if we want to compete in the Championship and not come straight back down, then we have to. The chances come far more irregular, harder to become across, and we have to be more clinical when we get them chances.
It's funny because like over the last few weeks, I've gone from thinking, oh yeah, I want to get in the playoffs or I want to get promoted, to I'd be happy finishing 8th or 9th this season. Continual improvement. I know I've said that Stotty wants to get promoted, but unless he, as we heard today, John Kieran on comms, they had a player that they paid 900 grand for, I think it was. I think Huddersfield paid 1.2 million quid for someone last season or something as well. So we're competing against clubs that are spending lots and lots of money.
I think Peterborough spent 2 million in the summer as well on players.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you say, and like coming driving, obviously we came back. We took the wife with us for a seasonal trip for a county game.
Did she enjoy it, Dan?
I think it wasn't the best game to sort of sit and enjoy, because obviously the amount of abuse that was directed to the referee was not a shock to the system. She's been plenty of times, but
was she not joining in with the referees a beep and
no,
you don't know what you're doing?
No. But she had to obviously sit next to Toby, who
was
vented his spleen, and he got the look of disapproval from Mum.
I'm surprised you didn't get the look of disapproval, Dan, because you're the one that's been teaching him all this stuff.
No, it depends on what I'm like, to be honest. Sometimes I just like to sit and watch the game, as you know, we sat and watched the game. And sometimes you get into it in your head gone, and then you're more concentrated on watching the referee opposed to watching the game. So I try my best not to get too involved with the referee, because it just distracts you from actually what else is going on the pitch. But yeah, even Toby said on the drive back that he wouldn't want us to go up this season. He thinks if we go up this season into the Championship, we'd come straight back down, where he'd rather have a season of consolidation or improving the squad before we actually make that jump up to the Championship.
I think the frustration, though, is, and this is my sort of overriding feeling of the last sort of few games, is that if you're getting hammered by teams in possession and chances and all that sort of stuff, and you end up losing, fine, or drawing, fine. But we're competing toe to toe with Huddersfield, with Rotherham, and we're not winning the games, and we should be.
Let's be absolutely honest.
On balance,
we've only been outplayed for 3 halves of football this season so far. 2 halves against Wycombe and the first half against Birmingham.
First half against Leyton Orient, I'd say as well.
So yeah.
So actually, no, maybe we outplayed them, but they were just super clinical. I think they had 4 shots on target.
But even say that, so there's 4 halves of football where we've been the second best team. So it's we're competing. We absolutely competing at this level. I think the frustration part as well that we know that if we just played a little bit better, stepped up and went up another gear, then we all look at tables and we look at that league table, and the way it is now, we're still obviously 5th in there. But I don't know about anybody else that listens. We've got 37 points on the board, played 23 games. But I go, well, we got 37, but realistically, that should be could be 45. Have we dropped 6 or 8 points? I think we dropped 2 points.
Probably go with that, Dan.
I think we dropped 2 points against Crawley. I think we dropped 2 points against Northampton when they scored that last minute equaliser. We should have got something from Huddersfield, I think. You might say that 2 points are dropped again today. So when you add, say, bring that up, puts us to 45, it moves us up 1 place, but 45 points and you're 4 points then, or 3 points from automatic promotion. It changes really, really quick. And I think that's the frustration at times, that we letting the opportunities go in these games where we come away and think we could have got more, should have got more from that game.
I think what is pleasing though is that this is Dave's first season as being a League One manager, and no one is saying, "Oh, Dave's out of place in League One. Oh, his tactics are being found out." Or we are tactically, I think we're very good. I just think we're just missing just a little bit, and this is where, putting my negative Nelly hat on again, when Louis Barry does go back and the amount of goals that he scored from those amazing magic moments from absolutely nothing, the first 3 games of the season, he scored the first goal in every single game. He got us going. If you take those goals out of this team, I've said it before, it's not just, okay, he scored 14, 15 goals. It's when he scored the goals, how he scored the goals, basically moments of pure magic that nobody else in that team could have done. And this is going to be the real test for this side when he goes back. And we may bring Lewis Dobbin in, or we may bring Ethan Wheatley in from United, or whatever it might be. And we may be getting like Louis Barry Mark II, who's even better. Who knows? But it is going to be a big test, not having that magic of him. And we'll have to see whether the team can step up or not. 48 minutes in. Have you got anything else that you want to say on this before we
no, well, I say we obviously played 23 games. We're slap bang halfway through the season. So, like you say, 37 points from the first half of the season, a goal difference of 11. So it'd be interesting, like you say, no Louis Barry going forward, to see how Dave reinvents this team, basically. And and it's, we still haven't had that run from Dave Challoner yet. We all know he can put a run together, and I think if you can put a run of 7 or 8 games winning back to back, I think automatics are still a possibility.
Did you just say automatics are a possibility?
I think if he can put, I don't think we need automatics, or like I say, a bit worried about going up too soon, but I still think that Dave Challoner can put a win run together like he's done in previous seasons. And I think if you can put 7 or 8 wins together back to back, then I think we can jump up that table very, very quickly.
Sorry, I was looking at the home and away form. Well, the whole table actually, and I was just nearly fell off my seat seeing that Wrexham had played 13 at home and got 35 points. And they won again. Did you see? 91 minutes, Stephen Fletcher. Why can't we score last minute goals? Barnsley aside, I think.
Yeah. No, it'll come. It'll come. This is the encouraging thing about it. We can all see that we're not a million miles away. There's a bit missing. That little bit of the jigsaw is missing. It's not a case of ripping up the whole team. It's just a little tweak that needs something. Is just a little bit of magic dust is missing, and that will. I'm still confident that will set us off for a good season. I don't think personally. I like I said, I always was going to be happy with a top half of the table finish. I don't think we'll finish out the playoffs. To be honest, I think we'll get stronger as the season goes on.
Well, we will see. So Birmingham next up in 3 days' time. They are sitting. Well, let me just have a look. They are sitting. Oh, they're top. Good for them. 21 games played, 49 points. They did draw their last game.
Yeah, 0-0 with Blackpool.
0-0 with Blackpool. So Steve Bruce is doing a solid, if not spectacular, job at Blackpool because they are proper. Not even mid-table. They're 15th. So yeah, we'll see. Birmingham's form at away from home is not as good as their home form. So maybe we've got a chance there. We will see. You're going to that, Dan? I'm not.
Yes, I'll be up for the Birmingham game, and I'm staying up till the Mansfield game as well.
Lovely. Well, I'll see you at the Mansfield game. I've got a New Year's event thing to go to with the missus and the daughter. We're heading down to Bath for a nice New Year, basically. But that means I am missing the Birmingham game. But there we go. Good. Okay. Apologies that Stu, literally disappeared after 3 or 4 minutes. I think we heard about 2 sentences from him, and he didn't return. I hope he's okay. I will message him after, make sure he's not keeled over or anything. But we will. We'll see everybody. After the Birmingham game. See ya.
Bye.
And that's a wrap for this episode of the Scarf Bagara War. We hope you enjoyed the podcast. Remember, you can catch us every week on your favourite podcast platform, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts. And a huge thank you to all of our Patreon members. Your contributions help keep the show running to bring the content you love. If you'd like to support the podcast and get access to exclusive special guest episodes, ad-free podcasts and a monthly giveaway, head over to patreon.com/the Scarf Bagara War. And don't forget to follow us on social media for updates, behind the scenes content and more. You can find us on X, Facebook and Instagram, all at County Podcast. Lastly, if you enjoyed the show, please leave us a review and share it with your fellow County fans. Your feedback helps us improve and reach more listeners. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on the Scarf Bagara War. Come on, County!